So it's this is probably revenge on this sort of injustice here, because I'm going to now pronounce names that I find difficult. And there's the brown guy in the room. That's usually the burden on me. But we'll see how that goes here as well. So on our far end we have Victor Kosakovsky, who has demonstration showing here this year and was honored for the Vision Award, I think last year or the year before, 2 years ago. I was here for that. And Linda Vastrick, for Forest of the Dancing Spirits, and Ewan McNichol with Uncertain here, also with his partner in crime. This film I caught yesterday. So one of the great virtues of being in this field, I'm convinced, is that you get to really enjoy these coffee shop philosophy debates about technology and medium and what's really authentic and what delivers on a true vision and all these things. And you get to do it as an adult on a stage and still say that it's important. But one of the ironies is that it does seem that it actually is important, because increasingly now we've got technology that has made this stuff easier and easier to do. And so when I was coming up watching a documentary like Hearts of Darkness with Francis Ford Coppola, saying he was going to look forward to a day when a 14-year-old girl in the Midwest will be able to pick up a camera and sit in a cheerful democracy of opportunity and make those films, that we are there. And yet, in the face of that, there also seems to be an extraordinary trend of people for whom that so-called revolution is really not much of a revolution at all. And that there are other virtues and other reasons to use other formats and mediums, who, while the masses rush to quickly say are outdated, are still being employed, and employed to great effect, that keep this conversation going. So I think, let's jump in here, and I'm smart but not smart, and smart enough to know that I should probably shut up quickly, and we'll get on to the people on the panel speaking. So I'll jump in, and we'll start in this end just because it's closer to me, and let's get a quick overview of and let's get the technical stuff out of the way of how you shot the film, and a sentence or two on what the thought process was going into it, and then we'll find out during the process whether this actually benefited or not. So we'll jump in with you, Ian, if we can.
Well, I think with our film, in the visual planning for the film, we were trying to achieve two things that I think are frequently opposed, or maybe seen as opposed to each other. One was to achieve an intimacy with our subjects, and the other was to retain a cinematic quality. And so we went into it knowing we needed smaller cameras, but we also needed to capture images that felt bigger, and they gave justice to the swamp and the town of Uncertain and the characters. So we made decisions to end up shooting on technical enough 5Ds,
Right.
but to keep it feeling cinematic, we were trying to use long lenses and keep the depth of field small, which meant that we missed things at times. I think when you make that decision, you are going to miss things because you're on a long lens. They're moving around fast. You will lose moments, but at the same time, you capture something that's maybe different than if you were sitting there on a wide lens and just following everything that happened.
Yeah. Do you find that the process of shooting with the SLR, I saw the film yesterday, did actually get you to the intimacy quicker with the character? Do people trust more, or is this? Do you make the rig a lot smaller as a result to keep it, or is this?
Occasionally we would shoot with a very small rig, but a lot of the time actually we did end up on a rig that was probably the size of a 16mm camera. So I think there were moments where we could strip it down and we could be very intimate. But I think also that the other thing that affected, allowed us to become more intimate with subjects, we didn't use a boom. We always had them on a lav mic.
Okay.
We'd lav them up in the morning. They would forget they were mic'd, and our sound guy would be 20 feet away. So it would just be Anna and myself standing next to our subjects.
Right. So perhaps the audio equipment is
that's another. Yeah, that's another thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to you, Linda, because I thought this was very interesting, because you actually took film cameras. Was it 16 millimeter or Super 16 out there? And so tell us a little bit about let's get the technical stuff out of the way and what the process was going into your film.
Okay, so I used Super 16 Arri SR2, and I used short lenses because I also look for intimacy and trust, and I want to film drama in people's lives. So if people fight over divorce, for instance, I want to go deep into the fight and not far away. But that's so sensitive for people, and they can get scared because I film this. And then I use short lenses because then I physically have to be close of them. And then it's very easy to actually just push me away. They can physically grab me and push me away if they don't want me to film it. And that's very good for trust, because then the people who are filmed, they know that they are always in control of the situation and what they film. So I like to work like that. And then for using film, it's very good because it's so extremely expensive. Every minute that runs is a lot of money. And that makes both me and the sound technician focused all the time. We don't have a possibility to just run it for fun, or it might be good, because every minute is so expensive. And that makes us focused. Yeah. So all the time we look very well, or she listens very well to the people we are documenting, and that makes them feel that we really are interested in them. We're not like not interested. Yeah. So that's very good to stay sharp.
Well, something we'll come back to, but we should touch on it here because you brought it up, and I've always found this interesting, is that you mentioned that you'd go in close with wide lenses, which is an adage I know from a lot of conflict photographers who typically don't like to go anything closer than 35 or even 28 millimeters and to get up close, because they do feel that delivers an intimacy with the action that is going on than if they had a long lens. So is that something that you feel that being in there with a wider lens is deliver something else than if you were on a longer zoom lens?
Yes, because then people get insecure. It's like if you imagine yourself having a sniper on you all the time and you don't know where the sniper is, it's really scary. But if you have the sniper here, you can like hit him.
You can account for them.
And if it's a small one, you know I can control this one. Yeah. And it gives control.
Good girl.
Thank you.
It's paradoxically she's right. Because people think, okay, now we have new technology, we can use small cameras.
Right.
But in fact, if I look back all my life, the most intimate films I made in 35 millimeter camera. And it was like huge like this. It sounds like a tractor. And I wrapped it in three blankets, not to be able to record sound. Like if you saw Belovs, for example, or if you saw Pavel and Larry, I made it in Jerusalem. And I made it with just 1 to 3. So the film was 1 hour, I made 3 hour filming only. So it means, and it was like just huge, about 35 kilogram camera. So, and still most intimate film you can imagine. Yeah. So it's kind of paradox, but and now more and more I convinced that we are trying to do like smaller camera, and we believe it's going to more intimate. In fact, no. In fact, I do opposite actually. I do opposite. Nowadays more and more I do opposite. I'm trying to be. As soon everybody can use cameras now, as soon everybody can do small camera, and I'm trying to do as much as possible. I'm trying to convince producers that I need best camera ever made, biggest camera ever made. Just because when you come to normal people in normal life, like in forest, in a village, and you come in with something enormous, big and enormous, complicated, they don't care about you. They simply don't care about you anymore. If you come with such camera, they really more aware about this. Then you come with something they don't know what the fuck is this. Yeah. Then they, in 1 minute, they understand, and they simply understand that this is something they will never understand, and they forget about you. What about mic? This is important. I remember I came to Africa searching for sound. I was a research trip, but soundman was with me. And I was with red camera. And red camera at that time was like, it was first red, with a lot of things on the top and 2 monitors and big lens. So, and I saw in Africa, it was in Botswana. I was just driving, and I saw people, boys, playing football with condom. They made a ball from condom, and I stopped camera, and maybe like 20 meters from them. And I took my camera, I put my tripod, I put my camera on the tripod, I put monitor, I put lens, They did not care about me. Then suddenly my soundman appears with boom. And those boys stopped playing football, and they look at him like to the cosmonaut, and all episode was gone immediately. We lost everything, because the guy with boom is like, destroyed everything. So now what I'm doing, and I'm doing like bad thing. I'm kind of, if I know I will film here today, I will put microphones night before everywhere here. And my soundman will be somewhere invisible. And if you have to run in this place and I'm filming you, if you go to this corner, you do something here, he will just switch to this microphone. If you go there, he will just simply switch record this. So because presence of guy with boom really destroys situation. Sorry that I'm.
No. This is great. So there's a friend of mine is convinced that the capacity for you to be able to make a fool of yourself and look like an idiot with this gear and these boom sounds also brings in the trust as well from people like that. And it sounds like a camera that is conspicuous that people can recognize immediately as a camera, at least in these cases, helps enormously here. In the case of Belovs, which I've seen, did you already have a relationship that preceded that, or did having the big camera help go in there?
No, but people, let's be honest. The best films made much before we were born, right? Still. It's like we are trying to make great films, but best films made in 30s, in 40s, in 20s, in 60s, right? Before video existed, still best films somewhere, not with us.
Well, according to one position.
Yeah, but tell me good title now, last 10 years.
Let's say
you don't have title. You're talking to me.
Say we said Leviathan last year is a modern classic, right? I mean, because on the other end of the spectrum, I know the debate. On one hand, cinema is dead and has been dead since the 60s, since Godard produced, and everything the best was. Abel Gance said in the first 17 years, everything that had been done in cinema had already been done. It was 17 years after its inception. So on the one hand, that's one side of the argument. And on the other, we're just in the first birth pang of a great art form. And this is it. It's just a birth pang and the best is yet to come. So in between that are us on these panels having these conversations. But I do think a strong argument is certainly, with the Belovs, which I loved, which is a sort of intimacy that challenges people today who do think that they can go pick up a GoPro at Walmart and get in there and just do anything that is its equal. But I am curious why, particularly why now people would make that choice to go for film and what that does to trump this democracy of digital in that case.
I think this argument about the availability of cameras, the democratization of image making, I think, if you relate it to writing, anyone can get a pencil. Anyone can are you a good writer? And I think whether you're shooting on a small camera like that or on a 70mm camera, they're tools. And it all depends on your idea. And I don't think, I think what Victor's saying, I agree with this idea of intimacy that ultimately, once you have a camera, whether it's a small camera or a large camera, and perhaps there's more an honesty in having a large camera, which I'm filming you. You know I'm filming you, and there's our relationship. But I think in the like Leviathan, I think anyone could pick up a GoPro and mount it on the back of a fishing vessel. But I think that proved that with great ideas behind a small bit of technology, something wonderful can happen.
Yeah.
But then there is also another side to it, at least for the producer part, and that's the money. Since I'm a producer also, I am thinking about the money. So the fact that it's really expensive to shoot, that makes me sharp and focused when I am shooting. But then on the other side, in the end, I don't know how that works in the US, but if I get money from the Swedish Film Institute, and I make a documentary, then I'm obliged to archive this material forever, as long as possible.
Yeah.
And but there is no money for archiving. And once I've been shooting on film, that is really expensive, but then I am home when it comes to archiving, because it's not expensive at all to archive this, and it lasts forever. But for the digital material, it's really expensive to archive, and it's hell to archive, because you have to make kind of TDL discs, or whatever the name is, and you have to copy them again and again and again, because they don't last.
Yeah.
And you have to control this, and so all of this is really heavy if you have a big material that can become valuable for the future.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because sometimes these bubbles are very good to talk about high art till the cows come home, but the industry aspect is very interesting because there are certain expectations, aren't there, for different formats. So I know a lot of shooters, for instance, who are on commercial shoots and simply have to use bigger, more elaborate looking cameras, where a 5D would do, simply because that's the expectation of what is now professional and stuff like that. So beyond just the archiving aspect, were there pressures on you to use film within the industry? Or?
No. I chose that because I was going to work 4 months in 100% moisture, and the logistics, that is really complicated.
Yeah.
So I needed to have a camera that I could fix myself, that I could call my technician and actually use a screwdriver myself to fix it. And then I wanted to have an image that was competing with National Geographic's in the quality.
Yeah.
At least I wanted to aim towards that. So then there was no insurance that would cover a technical breakdown in a civil war situation. That no insurance company will give you that insurance. So I couldn't afford to have a digital camera that breaks down, and I have to go back to get a new one and things like this. So I needed a safe camera, and then it comes back to mechanical 16mm.
Yeah.
That is the safest.
How long were the trips away?
4 months.
Okay. So then, on some level, there's a dirty word in these conversations too, as well. So to what end are we also sort of informed by just nostalgia when it comes to things like film and that too, as well? You know, let's jump in there.
You know, there is just for you easier to understand what I'm trying to say, because my English is probably not good enough, but your shot when guy catch fish, right? Imagine she's filmed. That's a very interesting thing. I agree with you, right? And I born in cinema, and we even didn't use 16. From childhood we used 35, right? We study in cinema school just with 35, and 35 was the only cinema, nothing left, nothing else. But imagine you need to have this shot. He's really getting fish in this moment. But you have only one magazine. And you travel with him like 2 hours, and he's trying to, and unfortunately he never did it. But you need this shot. Without this shot you have no story. So what you do then? He can, with his digital camera, for example, if he uses he can film endless, waiting for this moment. And what you do, if you just, you don't know if there is a fish or not, right? Fish below water, so inside water. So you just like idiot watching to the water, waiting, then bam, nothing. So you spend your magazine, and then what you do? How do you do this? That's a big question for. I get in 1 minute time. I will tell you why I'm saying, because I guess there is a fantastic revolution happening now. So tell me.
Okay, what I do is that I don't focus on the fish, I focus on the crocodiles. So I put my focus on that I'm gonna film the day a crocodile turns the boat upside down. And then I will get a lot of fish on the way waiting for the crocodile. Because, because if I focus on the crocodile, it's really strange, but when you use heavy equipment, which film equipment is physically heavy,
Right.
so that makes your complete body work. So you're not only using your brain, you have to use your whole body, and you're so focused and you just look at the people in front of you or you just listen to them. And for sound people, the boom is a problem, but you can pass by this by having a girl on the boom. Make a woman have the boom, then it's no problem. Then nobody think about her. That's the secret.
No,
So then when you use your complete body, then your stomach and your heart will start to work. And this will alarm before the fish, but you have to focus on something bigger than the fish. So you put your stomach and your heart focus on the crocodile, and then you will get the fish, because these start to talk. They will just like tell you, shoot, 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 and then you get the fish. And then you will be like disappointed. Shit, it was just a fish. But you will get the fish.
Wow,
That's how it works.
Fantastic.
We don't have a brain only here. We have it here and here.
She just destroyed all my theory. I made a huge theory, and she just bam.
Well, how did you do it when you did the bellows? Because you're like my professor, even though you didn't know it.
But what happened is nowadays. So actually, answer me. How did you do this with fish?
How did we?
How did you get this moment?
I had the advantage of digital. I could keep rolling.
All right. So imagine you don't have this.
Plus, he catches a lot of fish.
Okay. So
10 minutes and he had one.
So imagine
Could have shot film. Actually.
when you were not born, probably most of you, we were filming 35, and every day we got only 2 minutes 35 material, only 2 minutes. We have to, it kind of was, I would say, same as TV station, right? But cinema station. So part of making films, we were also making kind of news, city news or regional news. So every day we got 2 minutes material. So I was assistant camera, and for example, we got this, someone say, we need to film guy who is trying to find fish. So you go, you only have 2 minutes. So you go, and then I was just assistant. My duty was to keep camera clean, to keep lenses clean. By the way, no one knows how to clean lenses nowadays. No one cleans them. So, and then I was in focus. So that was my duty. And then we were waiting for this guy, and it looks like he's getting fish. And okay, we start filming, and bam, poof, small one. Just small one, not impressive. What we do? Okay, we're waiting again, and then we realize we only have 30 meters. It's like 1 minute already 1 minute. So what do we do? We do next. So, and then I realize that 50% of what we call documentary, it was simply fiction. Everything 50% what you know of history of documentary was fiction. Because, in fact, we did not have material. What we did, we were waiting he will catch this fish. Then we'll say, stop, man, put this fish back. Don't take her from the wire. Put it back. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, man, we are ready. We are filming. So, this was, I promise, guys, I promise. Then I was working 10 years as assistant camera director and editor. And I tell you, everything you know about documentary, no. Most of them is fiction. Nowadays, I don't know why not every camera has it. I don't know why, because it's absolutely revolutionary. I don't know why we don't celebrate it just now with champagne. And yeah, because what happened is, like 5 years ago, Red camera came out with pre-rec button. Do you know what it is?
No.
You don't know. And then Sony repeated in F3. And then suddenly it disappeared. New Red came out without this option. I simply don't understand. All of us have to scream, and we have to push them to just to use it. Because he's recording me now. And imagine, I don't know, she came in the morning and she broke this chair with the idea that in a certain moment I will fall down. And she told him that Victor will, definitely. But when it will happen, no one knows. He's poor boy, he's rolling like 1 hour already, waiting that I will fall down. He doesn't need to do it, because he just can sleep, smoke, just press standby. It's rolling 30 seconds in loop. 30 seconds rolling in loop. In the moment I fall down, he just press again, red button, and 30 seconds before I fall down is already there. So the rest he simply don't use. He don't record it. So this is unbelievable. For things like this, you are trying to, if there is no fish, of course, in your place it was easy, like every 10 minutes fish. If there is no fish and you were 1 day waiting, or like if you, I was filming like condors, you never know when they will jump on. They are sitting in the nest and 1 hour waiting. You cannot, and if you need exactly the moment when it starts flying from the nest, it's like nightmare. It's so cold, and you like 2,000 meters on the front of the ground. You are like wire yourself on the rock and waiting. You're completely cold, and but condor is just looking at you now. So
let me ask. Let's tell people a little bit about demonstration, because that's something.
Yeah, that's a story. Like. I was asked to teach people in Barcelona, students, and I came, I talked to them 3 weeks, then I left home, then they sent me a letter like, oh, Victor, students like you, can you come again for 3 weeks? I said, yes, I will come, but please, let's do something instead of talking. Let's do film. I came and said, why don't we make film tomorrow? What's going on tomorrow? They said, oh, there is a demonstration tomorrow. I said, okay, let's go on the street. We were 32 students. We spent 1 night, and we decided where we put cameras, which corner, how we will fix cameras. And so I gave them, like, everyone gave them special duty. You film this, you film this, you film this, and have to film. And we only have 1 camera, which has this button. But this camera saves us really much, because this pre-rec button, because you stay all day long waiting for something happening on the square, and either you have to record everything from the beginning to the end, and then it's hell in editing and downloading and saving material. Either you have this button. So it was paradise. All guys, 31 students, came with tons of hours material. And one guy was staying in the balcony just with this button. And he came with 30 seconds, but exactly what I was necessary for the film.
So would you have been able to do this film without this?
No way. Otherwise, you are really dying with tons of material, tons of material. So I guess this is like, for documentary, it's really revolution. I mean, not technically, but to bring documentary to documentary, take out from the fiction.
Right.
We are trying to bring it to documentary, recording, not saying, okay, do it again. But now we shouldn't do it simply. We can just use this button. A lot of things, for example, in Antipodes, I knew the guy. If some of you saw Viva Las Antipodes, the guy has 13 cats. And he every morning he goes like promenade, kind of going. He goes out from his house, and 13 cats follow him, like dogs. It's absolutely amazing, funny episode. And this morning he was suddenly, I don't know, was he depressed? He didn't want to go out. I don't know what. We were waiting on the street 4 hours. 4 hours. And my assistant say, why don't you just knock on the door and say, please, go, go, and we will film you, because cats will still arrive. And I said, no, we are making documentary, let's wait. 4 hours waiting for this. By luck, we had this button. Because important when he opens door, and all cats jumping just like from the door. This was most important. If you just press 1 second after, you lost this beautiful moment. So or you have to record, or you have this magic button.
I just want to shift beats a little bit, but when we were getting up here, I think one of you, maybe you mentioned that a couple of you had photography backgrounds. And so I'm curious if that informs how you approach motion sort of capture now in any capacity. Beyond that.
Yeah.
I know certainly you said your father also was a photographer.
Yes, and I assisted quite a few photographers growing up, and going back to the discussion of film, I learned with 4x5 and 8x10 cameras, which are incredibly restrictive in the process. But I think what you learn from working with that kind of technology is there's a great deal more thought that needs to go in to making that image. I think in relation to the discussion of the pre-record and film, and the risk with digital just to roll continuously, there is the obstruction of film is a great thing in many ways, in that it really makes you think before you roll, and that was something we had to be a bit careful of with Uncertain. Was it was very easy just to keep rolling on a 5D.
Well, there's a great challenge in Victor's remarks that maybe we should take a look at, which is that there's an impulse in there to want to say that, well, actually, that we can remove some of the necessity of the fictional construct now and actually get some of what's real. But to be a bit of a schoolboyish upstart with that, what does it matter on some level? I mean, why the need even to remove that fictional? Is the document any less true? I mean, to get a little philosophical, is it any less true because we've now placed the? I mean, do we ever remove the fictional thing?
It's a simple answer. It's about orgasm. It's like if you know that you will get orgasm, that's one thing. But if you don't know, that's another thing. It's more, and then you will get it. Then another. I mean, filming. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about filming. I mean, for me, biggest pleasure is I'm sorry to say, most pleasure in my life I'm getting in the moment I'm filming. I'm filming and suddenly something happened.
Right.
And I'm strangely filming it, not kissing girls, not doing something else, but I'm really rolling in this moment. And something in front of my eyes happened unpredictable. I did not even expect it. So, and by luck, I even know how to operate camera in this moment, what to do, how to react. And this is most amazing thing in our life. This is probably why we are doing it. This is nothing else. The fact that you suddenly appears with camera in this particular moment, this is the most amazing thing. Otherwise, why to do this, right? That's why it's question of basic why we are doing film. So for me, otherwise we do fiction.
But it's not that easy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of people here at the festival who would say that the balance never goes. The balance never goes between the construct that allows this freedom for a revelation to occur before you, right? And in fact, the theme of last year and this year is one of these. Well, let's be a little more transparent about these constructs that permit these revelatory moments to happen before us. The most famous advocate being people like Herzog, who say, "You're damn right, I nudge and push and shove this here," to allow the revelation, that magic to occur before me. So I suppose I do wonder, I don't pretend to have the answer, but I do wonder the degree to which that balance and that healthy tension is just never going to go, no matter what it is we have in our hands as the new bit of technology, be it a RED or a GoPro or something like that.
I think it's also about like respect, because the day you start to film people really intimately, then you film them in a very vulnerable position. And at least for me, when I look at like reality television, where the people inside the program, they are manipulated by the directors.
Yeah.
And everybody around them, like simply you can just like tell everybody that everybody tell one person that person is going to win a prize, and then you make that person lose. So this person will feel cheated and bad and sad, and that's what you're looking for. So you have complete teams that manipulates real people like this, just to get the feelings they want for the reality show. And then they use like half good material, so the quality of the picture is like half good.
Yeah.
For me, all this gives a really bad taste.
Yeah.
Because when people are vulnerable and they are giving you the most sensitive parts of their soul to you to make an image of, I think it's about respect. You got to respect this. And then it's about, then you have to think, like, how this present that I get from this person, what kind of tempo does it have? Like, some people are like hardcore rock and roll people. Then maybe it's good and nice to make a trashed picture, a picture that plays with the beat of the soul. But if this is a Russian melodramatic person, then you do the opera. Then you have to have like the nice quality of the image. So you give it the respect it should have. So you play with so the image play with the soul's quality. And I think this is really important. And it's also about how do you treat people in front of the camera? Is it really okay to manipulate them? If it's actors, yes, it's okay to manipulate them, because then you help them to act. But like ordinary, regular people who are not actors, is it really okay to manipulate them just to get what you want? For me, I don't think so. But some people think so. And I think it's you should talk about trust and the quality of the soul and the quality of the image and the story you want to make. And how do you take the message of the soul of the people that you work with? How do you translate that into the best image where you can feel them good?
So then I'm curious. I'm curious about lines that people won't cross when they're making a film. So what will make you put the camera down? If you're shooting a people for whom you have both trust and they're revealing intimacy, if they say change their mind in the middle of a shoot, I don't want this anymore. At what point would you put a camera down or not?
Well, they just have to tell me clearly. Like, I want them to tell. I tell this to them. Everybody knows who I shoot. That if they tell me 2 times straight into the camera, put the camera down, because then I can cut. Then I can cut here. I can make them. They say like, put the camera down, and then you have a black frame, and then we get back later, and everybody understands that was a secret part. So I ask them that this is, if you want me to put the camera down, just tell it straight into the camera 2 times, and I will do it. And I do it.
This is very interesting, actually. I don't know, guys, if you notice, but this is very interesting, I guess, what she says, because not only what she says before, everything you can write a book, by the way. Because not only like body connected with image, like all body of cameraman connected, but also like soul connected with situation you're filming. It's like you are really, I don't know, if you continue this way, in 10 years' time, we will get a big girl here. I mean, everything you are saying, it's absolutely fantastic, from my opinion. What this film demonstration, that was a moment when we noticed that, if you didn't see this film, I have to explain. So it's the big demonstration, like 500,000 people in Barcelona on the street. Some of them making fire, some of them getting pleasure, some of them screaming, some of them just enjoying party, some of them really fighters, protesters. Most of them filming with photo cameras, with mobile phone, with iPad, with everything. And some of them are real, like they have a mask, anonymous mask, and they're doing kind of violent stuff. They're burning cars and ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. What interesting, and when I was editing, I noticed that, and it was not predictable. I didn't know it will. So I mean, I did not know it will happen. So when we were planning night before, I was not focusing on this because I did not know what this is. Why we'll find out. But I noticed that guys with masks, they do not make fire until they are sure that someone filming them. So if there is no one filming, they simply don't do anything. Then if they notice one guy with camera, they kind of look, be sure that he noticed them, and they start. For example, I even saw one moment was like she was trying to make fire, but cameraman was kind of busy. He was not focused yet. He was not put in tripod yet. I saw the shot from another camera. She did not notice. So she was obviously making fake. She was trying to fire it, and obviously making fake movement. She was obviously waiting for the moment he fixed camera. So we understood that in one shot we have 200 cameras filming in one frame. We have 200 people filming one small fire. It was like invention of people with cameras. Then I realized that in fact, we were provoking violence, right? With filming. Fact that we are filming. And one guy, he became main character. I noticed him in 7 different places of the town, in 7 different cameras. During the day he appears, it always was like a main character. And I said to students, follow him more. And then suddenly one of my students, they were like group of, like one guy with microphone, another one with camera. And they will follow this guy. And then one of my students who was actually filming with camera, he said, we have to stop because we're provoking him to be violent. And another said, no, film. And when I saw this material, and I kept it in the film, all this conversation. But then I didn't know what to do, because in fact, if just use it like this, it wasn't. I put it on the film, but then I realized it's kind of, in a way, not respectful to this guy. Probably you are more sophisticated, you can explain. I felt like I have to show him this material. And I said, can we find this guy in the city? Can we show him this? Can we use it or not in the film? Because it's obviously that he's playing for us a little bit. He was like checking if we are filming or not. He was sometimes checking if we are filming or not. So I decided to invite him, and I decided to show him this film. And then he was watching as a hero. And I again was confused. Is it again I am using him? Kind of double using. Like first I use him.
Did you film him watching?
Yeah, I filmed him watching, and again I was confused. Then maybe I am again using him. And I said to one of my students, print contract immediately, just to be sure he really understands what's going on. And while he was watching, she printed contract, and we gave to him afterwards. And I said to him, listen, everything you saw will be on the screen, and everything I was filming now, your reaction, will be filmed. Will we agree? He said, yes. So it was kind of, do you understand me? It was kind of too much complicated.
But this is very interesting following your remarks, because I do, and I don't want to put this on the table, I do sometimes think that, like when you talked about reality TV, right? On some level, it's the end game of all the endless shooting that we can do, right? You've got a camera on 24 hours, blocked off in an entire house of people, and they're just always running. You go in curatorially and you pluck the fish that you want, and from that create what you want. But while we can dismiss reality TV, there is a suggestion in what you're saying, Victor, though, that there is something inescapable about the voyeuristic aspect of any non-fictional thing, even the high art that we like to talk about at these kinds of festivals, that is problematic a little bit, no?
You film it when somebody film you, right? When you're, I know, like, when I was filming Antipodes, one guy was filming me. And maybe you saw it, it's called Where the Condors Fly. It was quite film everywhere. So he was following me, like, wherever I go, to China, to Russia, to Africa, he was just following me. And then I saw the film, and I realized it's not me. It's simply not me. And this is good stuff. This is good stuff for us. Because I realized this guy on the screen looks like me, he moves like me, he speaks like me, but it's not me. It's another character. It's just someone else. It's already character. It's maybe a little bit like me, but no. So, in this case, that's what I'm trying to do always. When I want to film you, I will never say to you, I am making film about you. Even 90% of the film you're going to be in the screen, I will say to you directly that this film is not about you. This film about someone like you, and you will represent for the rest of the world the woman who, because you are unique, but in a way you are kind of symbol of something. And I will tell to you, I will film you, but people will not consider you as you personally. People will consider, like, I don't know, like Anna Karenina, for example, right? They will consider you like someone, do you understand what like artificial figure, even you are real.
Right, but let's go one further with that. Let's go one further with that. I assisted fashion photographers when I started out, and I remember learning a golden lesson about humanity from one fashion photographer in what was seemingly a very superficial world. And he would shoot photographs of young actors who wanted to make it in New York, headshots. And what he would do was he would shoot these contact sheets back then on 35mm film. And, you know, there are little things that you can do that sort of like a higher angle, focus on the eyes, side of the field, that people would look a certain way. Not as you would see them directly with the naked eye, but they actually looked more idealized in that way. And 9 out of 10 times, when asked and placed these contact sheets placed in front of an actor and said, you know, what is it the one that most represents you? They almost always picked the photograph that was the most manipulated and the most idealized. It was so I do wonder. I think this is a wonderful direction for the conversation. I do wonder that how much truer your perception of yourself is.
But it's very
one
simple
second. How much truer your perception of yourself is? Is it any truer than the one outside looking at you?
It's very easy to understand what you say, because if you record your voice now and then you will listen it, all of us will say it's you, but you will say no, it's not me.
Right. Another way of making the same point. Exactly.
But for this, I work with this, because if I'm going to film people very close in dramatical situations and vulnerable situations in their life, it is difficult to reach to that point of trust with people. But when I reach it and when I film these situations with people, I do research on this, like how, because people are very, how do you say this in English? Like everybody is obsessed with what we look like. So if somebody is going to make a film about me being depressed, I still want to look good when I'm depressed.
Right.
I don't want to be depressed and ugly.
Right.
And what I look like when I look good, I know that. The photographer don't know that. The photographer can't make me look good if it's not the same image as I have of me when I look good. So I always do research on the people I film in how do they see themselves when they look good. And then I research these angles, like how do I actually film this?
Yeah.
And that's why, because some documentary makers, they never show the people what they film before they've actually edited the film. I am too scared to do that, because if they say no in the end, then I'm burned. So I want to know that they're with me all the time. So I actually show them basically everything they want to see. I never hide things for them. And I tell them, and it's basically never a problem to shoot them in vulnerable situations if I shoot them in a way that they look good in their own taste. So I always, because if I always ask them, if they say you can't show this to anybody, and I ask them why, what's the problem, then it's 99% of the time it is about I don't look good. I'm not
Absolutely.
so then I change angle and I change lighting, and I say, okay, so let me try more times and show you again, and you show me when it's okay.
Yeah.
And then it's normally about the lighting and the angle and the place and the position.
So
but the drama
no
is,
matter what, we're complicit in a fiction.
But we are humans.
Yeah.
But we are humans.
Yeah, yeah.
So think about yourself.
No.
If we're going
So-
to film you in the toilet, you want to look good.
No,
It's like
right. But so let's push this further. So then, to what degree then, especially with your film, to what degree then does the visual literacy of the people that you are documenting, how was that for you? Because ostensibly, and I haven't seen the film yet, but just only the few clips that we got in advance. But so presumably these people don't have a visual literacy. The way we have a sophisticated visual literacy here in the West, right? So to what degree did that inform your project, shooting people who may not even...
I had a digital camera with me,
Yeah.
so I could show them, and it was very similar to the Super 16 in the angle and the look of it. So I could show everybody, and they have storytelling, very, very old storytelling, that is much more complicated than making a film. So when I explained to them, I showed them the image and I explained to them that we cut the best parts and we put it together and we put it on a big image and we put people in the room, and that's how we do the stories. They understand this very fast. They were more concerned about what people were doing, like if we can sing their songs good, and if we can't sing their songs good, they want us to shut up. So I had to make sure that no bad singers were going to sing their songs. So things like that was important to them. And for the image, we did the same, that I showed them where I was going. And I, like all people I've been filming, they are this height. They are 150 tall. And you can never see they're 150. I filmed them in the same angle, so we identify. And that's what they wanted. And then I took a lot of notes, because they came to look through all the raw material when we did the translating. And then I took a lot of notes exactly on this, like how do they see themselves, what is important, what is not. Like for the women, it's very important for them to always look strong. They want their muscles to be shown. So that's important. You can't be a woman and be without muscles. That's really... So things like that was important. So I have notes on this, personal on everybody. And they don't want to be boring. So when I was shooting like regular things, like cooking food or making a fire, things like this, that was problematic. Everybody didn't want to be in this like regular things. Everybody wanted to be in the hot spot of the drama, to have some intense things going on.
And so I'm curious, particularly for you and in yourself, have the people that you've documented in your film, have they seen the film yet, or are you planning to show it to them?
Yes,
at all?
that was 100% impossible to finance because I wanted to go back. It was in my budget from the beginning.
Ah.
I wanted to go back with a rough cut for them to be able to say and confirm their image of the things happening, but that was not possible. So here I feel really bad that I couldn't do this because of money. But right now I have because the people coming to the cinema to see the film, they want to give money, so they are giving money to this. I have a collection going on for this. But I missed it one time actually. There was one time that because the woman who is participating in our film, she was very sick in one place, and then she felt very weak, so she lost her strength, and then she didn't like me to film.
Yeah.
So she is actually saying with a very weak voice, "Please don't film me now." And I don't get it because I don't speak her language. So for this part, I have cut like several minutes before she say this. I've just cut this material out, and it's not in the film because it was really a big mistake.
So we have now, I think, successfully, cheerfully jettisoned the premise of technology and all that. Thankfully so, because I think this gets more interesting now. But I'm very curious about something that you said earlier, because no matter the technology, people's intentions interest me, and you've spoken very eloquently about the dignity and the soul, even, with, and terms and this sort of language. So what is driving? Because we've talked about how these projects started. What's driving the film to its what is the response you want now from people? So we've talked about you're rigorous about showing the film and the footage and the dailies to people as you're shooting it. So what is the response you hope to elicit from an audience now who see the finished product, particularly with your film?
Okay, with my film, it has been the same thing all the time, and what I want is to have 90 minutes when these people and the people in the audience come close to each other, and they feel like they're friends, and they identify with each other. So the audience identify with the people on the screen, and this is people that is made exotic normally. If we see them in other films, I think there is no other film that film them like I do. In all other films we see with these people, they're short pygmies with sharp teeth, and they are not like us. They don't feel the feelings that we feel, and when we see them, we laugh or smile because they're cute, but for sure we're not going to cry when they're going to cry. But during my 90 minutes, we are going to cry when they cry, because we're going to identify with them and feel their feelings. And my motor, my engine, comes from the fact that I love these kind of people, and I'm so pissed off that we have such a racistic global system. So I just want to have people 90 minutes, and we feel that we're equal, and that's what I can do. And that was my purpose, and it seemed like it is like that.
Well,
it's a simple one.
Yeah, I along with Victor will buy your book 10 years from now too. As well. That's very eloquently put. You and I'm gonna chase you on something here too as well, because there's the stakes involved of your film really interested me yesterday, because while I see Linda's thrust going towards sort of almost a vehicle of empathy, right? That you can literally use whatever the tool is at hand to bring these people closer. And I loved how you put it. There's something about redemption in your film that creeps up in you. For people who haven't seen this, and I was lucky enough to catch your work in progress, you got to just run and scramble to see this when it comes out, and be thankful that you were here on the early days of catching it. But there's something about characters who you bring in to the empathy in an empathetic way for the first half, and then we're sort of dropped in to something which all of them then pushes us to empathize even with characters who we might even fear, and who are pushing towards something redemptive. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the film actually follows a path of, well, our path of making the film, where we became close to these characters in a town that for us, well, for me especially, felt very exotic and very different, and our relationship with them grew. Spending time with Henry fishing, going out hunting with Wayne, the hog hunter, and it was in that process that they revealed to us these deeds, these violent pasts, and then through that we then realize how much these men are searching for some kind of redemption or forgiveness. So the film follows the path, pretty much the path that we took with them. And so that was quite exciting for us, because I think our experience of we became close to them and were surprised and shocked to hear about what they had been doing. So we wanted to reflect that in the film. So we wanted you to become, we wanted you to get to know them in the early half of the film before we started to reveal the intimate stories of their lives.
I am curious. I know we had a mic out here. Can we get it to your partner here yesterday we met? Because she told a wonderful story, and forgive me to put you on the spot, about actually when you first heard about one of the criminal deeds, and it sort of even tested the degree to which you may empathize or go forward. So I'm very curious as to the degree to which.
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the hunter in the?
Yeah, we're talking about. Yeah, I hope that's okay. I just want to widen it out. I've enjoyed everyone's company so much I've forgotten to expand it to the crowd. But there was a moment you talked about that was about hearing something that was perhaps at first odious of a character, and you said, "Well, how can we go forward with this?" or something like that.
Well, that happened more than once. But so I'm wondering which one you're referring to. But we were out in the woods with Wayne. Is this the one you're thinking of?
Yeah.
And a hog hunter, and he was explaining the process of hunting, and how he was baiting these holes, and I asked him what kind of why do you use the gun that you use, because he uses this old powder loading gun, almost like a musket. And he said to us then, when we were deep in the woods, I have to, because it's the only kind of firearm I can carry. I'm a felon. And so we were meeting this hog hunter and curious about that, and that's the moment that we realized something deeper. Of course, our first thought was, great, we're out in the middle of the woods, with this man who we barely know, and we don't know exactly what this deed was. And it was a really interesting process for us, and as Ewan said, we very much wanted to reflect the same sort of sense of reveal that we had ourselves in getting to know these people. I don't, if we didn't take the approach that we had taken, if we weren't sort of watchful and there and in those moments with them, I don't know that they would have revealed those things to us. I don't know that we could have come in with a construct and said, this is the way we see this town, and this is the kind of film we want to make. I mean, we were a year into filming without knowing still what story we were making.
Yeah. Is there, I mean, perhaps it's the schoolboy in me, but I'm dying to connect Linda's point with yours, that this sort of magic of the possibility of some of this nonfiction, that you can so push empathy, not only for, say, a foreign culture, but even people who you might typically fear, even in your own backyard, right, who are criminals, essentially, to a point of empathy that brings everybody a little closer. Is that fair, or am I just...
Yeah, well, I think for us in our film, we wanted to... we also wanted, I suppose, to subvert a little bit what you think you know. So you get to meet these people. They look the way they do. We're talking about people who live in the South and in a small town in Texas, and the cliches. A lot of those cliches are there, and we presented those because that was the same way in which we met with these types of characters, and then you get to know them, and then you get that deeper part of who they are, And we wanted the edit, we wanted the film to subvert your expectations of what you think you know. And not only on a top level like that, but then also on a very personal level. Can you meet this kind of a person, and can you be challenged by what they've done, and can you decide to still like them? Can you be with them in their process of wanting to be redeemed?
Well, that's I would love to be able to pretend that I planned for us to end on that note, which just goes back to something really magical at the center. There's a quote I've always loved by the filmmaker Leo Carax, who, when asked why he made films, he said, because often the person sitting next to you is unreachable. You know, it's just to bring everybody a little close together. So I very much like that. And I'll take the opportunity now to thank everyone on the panel for joining me here, and please thank them along with me.
Can I say something to you?
Please. Okay.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we? It was strange. It's just. I will not pretend that it's accidental. It is accidental. I just think, why don't we write? If I will just write to Sony or to Red, it doesn't work. But
Yeah,
if
it's really
we
good.
all festival,
Pre-roll.
like festival, from our face, and
Start
just
petition.
write them, please push this button back. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's do this. Okay.
And we can make a book together.
There
The
we
three
go.
of us.
Deal.
Well, watch all these films. Thank you very much.